Digestive system consists of a group of organs which take part in intake, processing, and excretion of food. The whole system is basically a long tube, which does not have the same diameter or a function in all its segments, but the general structure stays the same. The wall is made up of 4 layers. The first one is mucosa, the second one is submucosa, then it's muscularis, and the last one is adventitia or serosa. If a part of digestive system is located within the abdominal cavity, there is a serosa on its surface. Serosa is covered by mesothelium, which is a simple squamous epithelium. Organs that are not surrounded by a cavity are covered in adventitia. Gullet, Oesophagus in Latin, is a muscular tube which connects pharynx and stomach. Mucosa or mucous membrane consists of 3 sublayers: epithelial lining, lamina propria mucosae, and muscularis mucosae. The epithelial lining is a layer of non-keratinized, stratified squamous epithelium. This epithelium is very resistant, and all cells need to be continuously replaced by the new ones. New cells differentiate from the basal layer and have a lifespan of 2 to 3 days. We can scarcely find melanocytes, Langerhans cells, which are antigen-presenting cells, and enteroendocrine cells in the epithelium. We will tackle the issue of these cells in the next videos. Lamina propria is made up of loose connective tissue, rich in blood vessels and creating papillae, whose function is to anchor and supply the epithelium. There are also esophageal cardiac glands in the section closer to stomach, which secrete mucus. Muscularis mucosae is a thin muscular layer of a smooth muscle. It divides into 2 parts, interna circular and externa longitudinal in the lower section of esophagus. The next layer is submucosa. Submucosa contains loose connective tissue as well as lamina propria. Although still being loose connective tissue, it's denser than in lamina propria. There are also thicker collagen fibers and less cells. Both lymph and blood vessels are rather abundant. We can sometimes find parts of enteric nervous system, namely nerve fibers and little ganglia. In submucosa, it's called Meissner's plexus or submucosal plexus. We can sometimes see ganglionic neurons here. Meissner's plexus is controlled by autonomic system, sympathetic and parasympathetic, which controls the amount of blood flowing to the mucosa and submucosa, as well as contractions of muscularis mucosae and secretion of glands. Esophageal glands can be found in some parts of submucosa. They are organized into groups and are rather small. Cells which line the epithelium of these glands are mucus cells. Therefore, these glands produce mucus and their ducts empty into the lumen. Mucus facilitates the transport of foodstuffs and protects the mucosa. Muscularis is the main muscular layer of esophagus. In proximal sections, it's made up of striated skeletal muscles. Then it continually changes into a section with both skeletal and smooth muscles, and finally, in the aboral sections, it becomes exclusively smooth muscle. Muscularis is divided into 2 sublayers. The orientation of cells in the internal sublayer is circular, in the external longitudinal. In the connective tissue between the muscle sublayers is another autonomic myenteric nerve plexus or Auerbach's plexus. This plexus is responsible for rhythmically propelling food downwards, but in comparison to Meissner's plexus, it controls a bigger section of the wall. In this section, we can see that smooth muscle cells of the external layer are mostly in a transverse section, and we can also see transverse sections of skeletal muscle fibers. This means that the section through esophagus was performed transversely, somewhere in the distal part of the medial portion of esophagus. Distal section of esophagus is located within the abdominal cavity, where it opens into stomach. This part is covered by serosa, but the greater part of esophagus is in mediastinum, where it's covered by adventitia, which blends into the surrounding tissue. Adventitia contains loose connective tissue and numerous adipocytes and vessels.